architecture and you start to kind of start on different places and do like surrounds and things like that, you start to develop your own lines in the way you hear the movement, as opposed to always just playing exactly what someone else played. Does that make sense?
Could you play that first surround?
Yeah, sure. So. But it never really sounds idiomatically correct, right? When you do that, if you just play. Nothing wrong, but it doesn't have the feeling of melody, right? You have to take those parts of the blues scale. Take small fragments of the blues scale and add rhythm to it. Remember, we were talking about that before. And sit on certain notes, right? So just that quickly, it's all right. And to me, the Western European classical music, and we talked about this yesterday, is a 5-1 relationship, right? But African music, as it grew out of slavery and through work songs, field hollers, and into the church, became a 4-1 relationship. It's all rooted in this 4-1 relationship. And as you study the blues, and as you study soul music, and any other music that's derivative, you'll notice that there's a very strong 4-1 relationship, right? And that's where that sound comes from. So leaning on some of those notes is where you're really going to get that sound. But when I'm talking about how I'm forming solos, when I'm going to form a solo or play a solo, it's really the concept of I'm going to make a gesture or I'm going to sit on a note, and then when I want to move, I'm going to play through that, through the bebop scale like I did before. Okay, so let's look at an example of that. So let's go to an actual blues. And let's see. And I want just a real simple one. Okay, put it in C. Okay, here we go. And I'm just gonna play around with the blues, right? And just see what happens. blues scale, right? Leaning on certain notes, and then when I want to start moving, I use the bebop scale, and then I move through D7 or C7 in your case, G7, and the A7 dominant bebop scale. Does that make sense? Does everybody kind of hear how I started to just expand out and develop that?
I heard you use the dominant bebop on the 4 to the 4th version of it. The
4 chord? Yeah, you use the same scale, you just start moving through that G7, concert F7.
I noticed you were using the 4th tone to create some dissonance in the 1.
And that's what we were talking about yesterday, about how to sit on a note and create that kind of energy, right? It's not necessarily about what you play, it's how you play it, like the energy and the intention that you put behind what you're playing. And it's really, for me at least, it's this simple, like my concept and my thought. And it really frees me up from having to feel like I have to make all these changes and like dissect every little thing. It's more about what do I want to say, and when do I want to play it, and when do I want to move, and when do I want to make a gesture? Do I want to play? Now, you can do a riff, whether it's a blues idea or a riff, or if it's a little higher, maybe. If it's a quote, whatever it is I'm choosing to do, in my mind it's categorized, and I have this language, kind of in those categories that I can draw from. And as much as you can play, it is contingent upon how many of those things you have in your bag or on your palette that you can paint with. And I always remember watching Bob Ross, and it used to just always, it was so amazing. He would talk about cerulean blue, and he would talk about all these different, types of burnt sienna, different types of orange, and different types of blue. And then he would mix them together and create a completely different one. And that's what that stuck in my mind. It's like, how many different variations or colors of this can I come up with for the same sound, right?
Could you play a simple bebop idea you were doing?
A simple, like
something we might be able to catch on to.
Oh yeah, sure. He's like,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, the one that we were working on, or we have been working on in our combo, is the one you know already.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's the most foundational one that you all should be working on, and that you can use immediately, right? So I'll do that when it gets to the top of the form, and I'll play through the song for that. thinking double time. I'm thinking the same information just twice as fast.
So that's a blues and C concert.
Blues and C.
But you're playing the 2-5-1 language on the top of it. Well,
Yes.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
You can take anytime you have a dominant chord, right? You can put the 2 chord in front of it. Anytime you have a 2 chord, you can put the 5 chord after it, right? And utilize that same information.
You're playing that over 1. I guess it's the color. What makes it sound right is the color of the notes. But it goes away from what was traditionally taught for that chord.
Who taught you that?
I wonder who that was.
I wonder who taught you that. I mean, listen, all colors, shapes, patterns, whatever you have at your disposal is available at all times. For instance, if I wanted to do static harmony, which we're going to talk about on, what's today? Thursday. We'll talk about, what is today?
It's hump day.
It's going to be up to Mike whether or not we meet on Friday. But if we meet on Friday, I would like to do static harmony on Friday. Static harmony is what I call whole tone or diminished, right? So if I want to do that sound.
You were doing some of that in your soloing last night.
Yeah.
As was
Shelly.
Yeah.
And Shelly's got a lot of stuff. A lot more than I do. So I'm trying to get to his point. So but I use what I have the best I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So look at the C7, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it just says C7, but I can imply anything I want.
You could do a whole tone over the top of that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
At any time.
Or chromatic.
Why wait? If you hear it and you feel it, play it now. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do a diminished sound over the top of the C7.
Okay.
Correct.
I hear that.
Switched right on through to whatever it is that I want to play at that moment. And same thing with the whole tone.
Yeah.
Just play it. It's really about having something in your pocket that you can pull out that you want to play, and don't feel like you have to do that you have to have 100 of them. Just have one. Just take one, and if you move that around, right? You take that one idea and you move it to either be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4, or the and of 1, 2, or 3 or 4. Now that idea, I promise you, will take on a different architecture, and that will outline not only a different rhythmic shape, but also in some instances a different harmonic shape, because it's lining up at a different place. It's accentuating different things. Does that make sense? So you can be really efficient with just taking one simple idea and maximizing it by moving it around, changing the register, leaning on certain parts of it, right? Take advantage of what those great composers did from the classical era, where it was about diminution or expansion. That they did that with their ideas and their motifs. They would invert it. They'd play it forwards and backwards, any way that they could to maximize what they could get out of it to write a symphony. I mean, you have to. What are you going to say in the second movement? So you got to have a way to stretch things out. And that's really kind of like the concept of what I do. Now, I want to have you all play a little bit of this too, or at least have an opportunity to. How about, Groovin' High. Does everybody know Groovin' High?
No, I mean,
It's a really fun tune. It's easy. You have your iReels or your real books with you? Yeah, okay. So if you take just a simple idea, right? This will give you an example of what I'm talking about. Yes. That's a great idea to pull out and play that through all 12 keys. That's a great piece of language.
it's a bebop.
Over a 2/5, that's right. But what I want to work on with you is just playing a melodic cell, right? This is going back to yesterday's work on major scales. If you go. 1, 2, 3, 1, right? E flat major, 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay? And then if you want to start, remember what did I tell you if you wanted to start on different beats, what do you do?
Start on the half step below.
Start on the half step below if you want to play on the upbeats. Watch what it sounds like. Automatically sounds like a different thing, right?
It sounds like jazz.
Digital pattern. To play this song, all you have to do is decide what beat you want to start on and play the idea, and I'll show you what it sounds like. So first chord is F major, so I'm going to go. Then it goes to common speed concert. It'll make it easier. Next one is A minor 7 to D7. I'm going to go. All I did was start on the root of the chord that is presented and play the same digital pattern. 1, 2, 3, 1. Okay? If I want to start on the upbeat, I'm going to go. No big deal, right? Okay. Next one. And the changes. Okay, so let's try. We're not gonna do the fancy one. I want you to really think about this as well. You do not have to play the whole song all the time. Do you always feel like when you look at a song in the book, I gotta play the whole song? Why? If I'm just working on the A section, I'm just working on the A section. If I'm working on the bridge to take the A train or the bridge of I Got Rhythm, I'm working on the bridge to I Got Rhythm. I'm trying to master or become proficient at a certain thing that's going to show up somewhere else in a piece of music. But you don't have to feel like you have to eat the whole elephant at the same time. So if I just want to work on...
I sometimes just pull like sections out and I know, right? It's like
absolutely.
This is the change I want.
That's what I'm going to do right now. So we're only going to play the first 8 bars of Groovin' High. E flat. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to demonstrate first. Right? And then you guys are going to play after me. So I'm going to play it first, and let's put it on beat 1. All right? So here's the thing. This is helping you navigate the changes. So I'm going to play the first measure. You're going to play the second measure, which is E flat. I'm going to play the third measure, which is my A minor, but you're going to play the fourth measure, which is your D7. Then you see how this is going to work? So it's making you think. You got to think through the chord changes, and you got to
Question and answer.
That's right. But with shifting places. That's right. Okay, you ready? Here we go. Let's have some fun. Everybody's going to be on the end of three, so that's going to sound like 1, 2, 3. Ba-do-do-dee-da, ba-do-do-dee-da. You see that? Okay. So now that you got the hang of it, let's everybody play the end of three together. This time we're together. Okay? Here we go. 3. 1, 2, ready, go. 1. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Next one. 1, 2, 3. So it should have sounded like this. So it should have sounded like this. 1, 2, 3. Now you got B minor. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2, 3. Then you have concert G minor. Questions? Does that make sense? You're good? You see what happened? Okay.
So just do the first 8 bars.
Just first 8 bars. Yeah, we set up a sandbox for us to play.
So when we're doing it that way, we don't catch every change. I mean, we are technically playing every change, but we're not trying to play every change as far as like when we, some of that lick goes into the next bar that has the new change, and we're not playing that.
Do you remember what I told you about? When I started playing and when I was being taught how to play jazz, I was being taught chord scale relationships. They started out with Dorian, then you learn your Mixolydian scale, then you learn your Ionian scale, then you learn your half Canadian demolished scale you learn all these different scales. And you know what that did for my playing? I sounded like chunk, chunk, chunk. And sometimes I would sound good on the first chunk, but I never could play very well on major. On the major, I couldn't figure it out. So it didn't really work for me. It didn't work for me. So I started thinking, why am I doing that? If we're swimming in the tonality of that key, then I'm in that key. It doesn't matter where I start. All of those notes are fair game at any time if I understand the tension and release of that note. Right? So if I play, for instance, I'm going to improvise over these first 4 bars. You remember what I told you? I just go off of the dominant and build my ideas. Now, this is not, there are some fine educators that are here and some incredible musicians, and some of them are combined. They have their own approaches and own ways of doing it, and there's nothing wrong with any of them. I'm not saying what you've been taught is wrong. I'm just saying, for me, this was a more efficient way for me to be able to access things in my mind, in my heart, and in my ears. That's it. That's all I'm saying. So take a listen. I'm going to improvise, and you'll see what I mean. So I'm not going to be thinking chord, chord, chord. I'm thinking tonality.
After this, I've got a really good quote for you.
Okay, I'm looking forward to hearing that. I'm ready. not thinking the changes, because if I start thinking the changes, then I automatically start playing things that fit that, and that starts to sound like I'm writing a ransom letter or something. You know, like, it just looks like squares and chunks and things instead of like just a flow. Does that make sense? It takes practice, and it takes understanding what's going on, but it is possible, and I think you'll find a lot of freedom, you know, because you're no longer thinking about what is the scale and what is this. You're just thinking about what do I want to play or what I want to say. If I want to play the blues, I don't have to think about the scale. I just play the gesture. Questions? Any questions about it? Yes.
Okay, so how do you go about developing your gestures? Because at least for me, like the material, the scales, that was easier than the actual gestures.
So, one, you can buy the book that it'll have 7 of them in there for you to get started. Once you play through those 7 exercises, right? Let me show you. Once you play through those 7 exercises, then your ears should be acclimated to hear them on your own. And then it's this. It's all this on the table. Because they're playing every single bit of that. But your ears maybe are not kind of like calibrated to hear it as a thing that you need to extract. You know, we think about transcribing the entire solo, and that is great because it's almost like it's a forced classical etude. It's not written already. You're doing the work to make the etude, which is great, and it helps your technical facility, your ears, everything. But it's not necessary always to be able to acquire language, right? You just hear the thing you want and you take it out, and then you apply it in the various places and spaces that it would appear, that you choose, right? So this talks about shape shifting. There we go. So here are 7 riffs and rhythmic devices.
I like that. Hey.
You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
You hear that all the time. Or that's from Fujimama. Rich knows exactly where that came from. I know you would. That's from Fujimama. And I just put it in the key of C. They're all in the key of C, so you got to do the homework to put it in the other keys. But they're here. And once you get used to hearing what is a riff, and it explains it, right? I don't just leave you out there. I explain, you know, what a riff is and what it does.
It's really good for building tension because you're playing that same thing over the top of something that would make a dissonant underneath.
Yeah, Bill, did you write this? It says, these riffs create rhythmic tension. And in some cases, a polyrhythmic feel, often referred to as a hemiola, that results in interest for the listener.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure that experience your birthday.
Yes, it is. Oh, thank you. You guys are awesome. And I always appreciate what you bring when you come. It's a real pleasure to be able to be here and to work with you. I'll see you tomorrow morning, and we will talk about minor. We'll deal with minor. Okay? All right, you guys have a great combo session. Thanks again.